Kiara, Cariel, and Connie all died in the rental home where they lived on East Columbia Street. Their converted apartment went up in flames. There were no batteries in the smoke detectors upstairs where the girls slept. Their mother, Galen Rose, says she awoke to thick, suffocating smoke. She ran outside screaming for help. Two officers narrowly escaped with their lives trying to save the girl. At first, the Indiana State Fire Marshal's investigators thought wiring behind the refrigerator started the fire. Then in January, a stunning announcement made through a hastily sent press release on a Saturday afternoon.
The house fire that killed 4 young sisters was intentionally set.
Indiana Department of Homeland Security arson investigator Dennis Randall said there were accelerants found throughout the home. It was alarming news.
The Florida fire happened back in 21st of November of 2016. The victims, Kiana Davis, whom was 11, Kiara Phillips, whom was 9, Cariel McDonald, whom was 7, Kiani Welch, whom was 5, was victims of that fire. A subscriber of mine asked me my point of view on this here about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to give my take on it. When I first began to do some research on it, I noticed that the media was giving different accounts, so I had to go through and view a bunch of clips from the media concerning it. And I found one clip that I just showed you that was very instrumental and I found to be accurate and true. After looking at that particular clip, I wanted to know who owned that home that Galen Rose, the mother of the children, was renting. And I found out it was Josh Ayers. As I edit this video, this is his picture. Now, when I have edit these particular videos trying to put a picture, it'll disappear very quickly. So if you see a picture up here, when you're looking at this video and it just disappear, that is him. I have not fully learned how to use this particular software yet, but that's him. And I found out that this guy owned that house, and he was also in Florida. He was the president of the Florida Town Board. He was also owner of a Maytag appliance sales distributor company that he owned in Carroll County. And he also owner of the Florida Delphi True Value hardware store. He also provided used appliances for Florida, as the town of Florida, as well as Delphi. Now, y'all remember Superintendent Doug Carter on the Delphi murders and dealing with Richard Allen. He was also over this case as well. He didn't have the same energy that he has in the Delphi case. He wasn't animate. He didn't show a personal interest. He really didn't show a professional interest. And as you've seen in the previous clip, they determined that it was of the opinion that it was electrical wiring dealing with the stove. And then they come out with another report hastily about a month and a couple of weeks later saying it was arson. Now, at this point, I believe with all my heart that this report was a knee-jerk response to protect Josh Ayers' investments. Now, what should have been done, they should have called the Texas Rangers in to investigate this year, because Josh Ayers, he had too much to lose. He had too much connection with the police department and the fire department department dealing with these businesses that he have dealing with Delphi as well as Flora. Josh Ayers, I believe, behind closed doors, was greasing the palms of law enforcement and fire department people's hands to create this arson in which, in reality, was caused by the stove, the electrical fire. I must mention that it was later purportedly clear that Maytag and Sears, in whom Miss Rose was suing, was not responsible. It was found that the appliances worked properly. Well, I don't believe that. Like I said, when it comes to Sears and Maytag versus a little black lady, a poor black lady, versus the corporations with money who can afford to pay people to say what they want to say, pay experts to say what they want to say, outweighs a little black lady who can't grease the palms of people's hands to make life a little bit easier. So this effectively cleared Maytag and Sears of any potential liability that Miss Galen Rose could have launched against them in civil court. Josh Ayers, on the other hand, although legally responsible for not keeping the smoke detectors up to date with batteries, etc., he can be responsible. I don't know the extent of the lease agreement, which may have dictated that Miss Galen Rose should maintain those smoke detectors in the form of keeping batteries that's workable in those. I don't know the extent of her contract, but I do know that she did file civil suit against Josh Ayers and Maytag, but Maytag and them more than likely had to be dismissed because they were not at fault. Now, I don't know the resolution of that case, the civil case dealing with Josh Ayers. Now, but one thing I can say that Josh Ayers had a serious legal interest in making sure that this fire was a purported arson rather than the negligence of that stove electrical wiring, because he would have been directly liable. Once again, I don't know the details of the contract that stipulates who maintains what in that home. But from looking at the evidence, the story, the facts in this case, Superintendent Doug Carter, as well as firefighters department personnel in the high ranks, it is believed, based on what I'm looking at, that they falsified the reports to reflect an arson rather than negligence concerning that stove electrical. Because people, for you to accept that this is an arson, that they found accelerants, this would have been the first thing that they stated once they investigated the fire. But once they found out that Josh Ayers owned the home, a month and a few weeks later, they came out with a new report hastily on the weekend. Hey, no, it wasn't that. It was arson. We found accelerant. So, as you can see, that haste report, that Johnny come late report after they started doing their investigation and contacting Josh Ayers and say, hey man, you look like you in trouble. He realized all his investments were in trouble. He would have had a hard time being insured by insurance companies. So they got together and just outright lied. So when you have an ongoing investigation to where they want to hide the reports and hide certain things, this is what they do. And here's another thing that I find strange about this investigation. You got these so-called suspects. You don't have any suspects. What you're looking to do is pin this on somebody You know, you may find somebody who charged with rape, murder, and all this stuff and cut a deal and say, hey, man, if you plead guilty to these cases, we'll make sure you get less time as possible, but you'll be convicted. So this is the ace in the hole when they want to railroad somebody and pin this case on somebody. This is not an arson case. You found accelerants, but you won't. I have never heard them mention the type of accelerants. And then Superintendent Doug Carter goes on and say something like this. I don't think the person who set the fire intended to kill those kids. You know what's wrong with that statement? Well, if Superintendent Doug Carter is going to make that statement must be viewed in relation to the fact that they say they found accelerant in every room. So if you found accelerant in every room and you start a fire, you intend to kill any and everybody in that house. You know the reason why he say he don't think that they intended to kill anybody? That's setting the stage for when they frame somebody with this, they don't have to seek the death penalty. You know why? Because if they when they do frame somebody, they know if they seek the death penalty, it's going to be looked at real hard by courts, especially the Supreme Court of the United States in certain Court of Appeal cases in their district. They will look at the facts of that case real close and determine whether there's sufficient evidence. So they already set the stage. So when they frame somebody with this floral murder case of a fake arson, they're going to already set the stage manslaughter. Lesser charge, less time. So that's my take on this floral fire. I believe that the arson is contrived, and it was contrived with the intention on protecting Josh Ayers' investments. Once again, people, there is no justice. There is just a conclusion of business matters with the court. Good morning. My name is Speak Van Holden. Good morning to all my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, if you like, subscribe and share.